and the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you in a fairly slow week this week. Got about a page and a half of notes to get through as we are getting closer and closer to Thanksgiving. Obviously, Thanksgiving next week. Everybody that celebrates, hopefully you have a good Thanksgiving. That is right around the corner, and we know what that means in the toy industry, and I guess every other industry, is there's going to be a lot of sales, a lot of deals going on, and they're already starting to go on over there at the Amazons. And basically, check your junk mail, check your email. There's everybody saying pre-Black Friday sales, the hottest cost. Black Friday starts now. We're going to see a lot of that over the next week. And then, of course, next weekend, Black Friday weekend is what it's turned into. So deals for days, you long gamers, time to mount up, time to grab some stuff. And there'll be plenty to grab out there, as we do know. But we got to thank the sponsor of the toy news this week. It is jaystoysandgames.com. Use code Kyle, save yourself 15% on all in-stock items. Got to get a deal over there at Jay's, and I just left their warehouse. You'll see a lot of that in the weekly purchases tomorrow. I picked up quite a few things. However, they're going to be running a big sale this weekend, so be on the lookout for that. I'll post it on my social media as well. But got to thank Jay's Toys and Games for sponsoring the channel. Very excited for some changes they got coming first of the year. Can't wait to get into that. Can't wait to show you guys some of that stuff. So shout out to Jay's. Check out them for everything you might need here and save 15% off with code Kyle. Like I said, I just bought a bunch of stuff over there just today, you'll see in weekly purchases. But not done with a little bit of housekeeping. Of course, Patreon, your best way to support this channel. You can also be a YouTube channel member if you want to. You do get early access to all the videos, plenty of stuff, more like monthly bonus video that's exclusive to Patreon, among many other things. You also get early access to the podcast, The Kyle Peterson Show. So check out Patreon if you haven't already. Do have the latest episode of the podcast up early over there. A Thanksgiving special, and I guess we all get to give thanks for something, but it's a bit of a downer episode, and I'm not going to drag into it here. I guess you can see about that if you want more personal life stuff. Todd, personal life stuff? Yes, it's true. Angie finally wised up. She's leaving me. It's true. I hate to say it, but no, it's not true. But you can check out the podcast for a sordid tale from your old boy Kyle. Try to keep the tears in, though. That's what I'm going to tell you. Try to keep the tears in as we get serious. It's usually a joking channel, but this time, unfortunately, it was not. So check out the Kyle Peterson Show podcast this Tuesday for the Thanksgiving special. Check it out if you haven't already. And then, of course, Patreon giveaway for the month of November is the Major Stars Series 1. So if you're after those, you got a chance of that in the giveaway. And I keep threatening it, but we're going to do some more giveaways here on the channel as we close out 2025. So be on the lookout for those. Make sure you're following on social media. All that kind of fun stuff. All that fun stuff. You guys know how it is by now. But now, let's get into the toy news this week. Let's start with a little bit of wrestling. Let's start over there at Ringside Collectibles, our friends over at Ringside. Code Kyle saves 10%, of course. We did see this week in shipping right now from the vault, the latest and greatest series. We got the Great Muta, regular and Chase edition. 6 regular and Chase edition. Hulk Hogan and the Disciple, the latest from the vault series. A very, I'm trying to pick my words wisely here. A controversial set. We'll go with controversial because the Disciple was a Build-A-Figure about a year ago, which, you know the Build-Figures. You got to buy multiple figures to be able to make that. So it's got value to it. So maybe a little too soon for that, but here we are with the Disciple. The Hulkster, a former Ringside exclusive, now corrected with that hot dog tan skin tone. That looks pretty good. So that's going to be the winner of the group if you ask me. Great Muta, Monday Night Wars exclusive just recently, like 2 sets ago from the Monday Night Wars. And now it's back out with the regular and Chase from the vault. Same thing with 6. I think that was the set before Muta, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it was the one after it. They were right by each other. But now we got 6 times 2. Now 6 is nice because I believe we got a new head sculpt with that one. However, a lot of people screaming about it's too soon for this set. It should be something else. And we're going to hear that theme a little bit more with some of the Mattel announcements this week coming off Friday. Some of the stuff they've been showing. But from the vault, the latest wave available right now at Ringside Collectibles, as well as Best of the Vault right now available at Ringside Collectibles. So much Vault being unleashed here, but that is, of course, available. Rikishi, Paul Heyman, CM Punk. We've reviewed those on the channel, but they are re-released over there at Ringside. Perfect for the holiday season. Some heavy hitters. So if you're after those, check out Ringside once again. Big news out of Ringside as well. Shipping right now. I think I'll have mine like Tuesday or Wednesday, probably Wednesday or Thursday, most likely. For whatever reason, it always takes like a week from Ringside for me. I don't know if it's just like there's a crossing line somewhere, it gets lost in the mix. Always takes extra days for me. But Jesse the Body Ventura Coliseum Collection, King Kong Bundy Coliseum Collection. So excited to get Jesse Ventura in the collection. It's been far too long. Can't wait to dive into that one. So be on the lookout for that review sometime later next week. We also saw this week of stuff that will be at Ringside sooner rather than later. Main event 163, we got Penta, Orton, Trish Stratus. We got Seth Rollins once again, Kevin Owens, a lot of stalwarts of the main event series. But Penta and Trish Stratus, the two must-haves out of that one. Penta, first time in the line. Definitely not going to be last time in the line there. And it's cool to get a modern take on Trish Stratus. Have to imagine that Trish going to be very hard to find like we see with a lot of these main event figures. But 163 should be shipping to us very soon. Can't wait to get into some of those. More on that, I guess, in the future. And then we saw, as I said, there's going to be a little bit of controversy here. We got Greatest Hits Series 10. We got John Cena just recently released, being re-released again in Greatest Hits Series 10. We got Final Boss Rock, once again, very recently released. Braun Breaker, I believe it was about a year ago, year and a half ago, 2 years ago. What is time? We got probably my favorite Braun Breaker figure yet, his debut figure in the Elite line, but we're getting that re-released in Greatest Hits Series 10, and Dominic Mysterio once again. So I know a lot of people are like, hey, Greatest Hits, I wish it was some throwback guys, you know, a Rey Mysterio from Elite 47 or whatever it may be. Not current guys that are really on the shelf, and there's definitely a possibility we could see a little of the Lando action. We all know about Lando Calrissian, the greatest character in Star Wars of all time. There's no arguments there, I know that. But we've seen Lando before, multiple Landos on the shelf at the same time in different packaging. We could see that with this Cena and the Final Boss Rock. We may possibly see them crossing where it's the same Rock figure, two different packages on the shelf at the same time. We could see that. So definitely a point. I have to pass on all these. I don't need them. They're the exact same figure. If they would have mixed them up a little bit different, I would have picked up the Greatest Hits, but I don't think I need any of these in my collection. So I'm going to save some money. That's not a bad thing either. We also saw Walmart exclusive Street Fighter Series 2. We saw Batista as Sagat. We saw Bianca Belair as Cammy. And we saw John Cena as Guile. That's going to be Series 2. Series 1 has to be hitting stores here in the next month or so. Maybe early 2026. If they're already showing Series 2 images like this, I got to think that's Series 1. And I believe overseas, like Smith's or something, already has Series 1 of Street Fighter figures. So those should be coming sooner rather than later. But Batista's Sagat looks pretty interesting. Some interesting choices with this set. It'll be interesting to unbox these here on the channel. We also saw the Amazon exclusive Ultimate Edition Final Boss Rock, which is very convenient because as I'm filming this yesterday, the Amazon exclusive Shawn Michaels figure went up for pre-order at Amazon. This is going to be the next one for late springtime, early springtime, spring. How about that? It'll be the Final Boss Rock. I'm here for that. That's my favorite incarnation of the Rock, so can't wait to dive into that one there. We also saw WWE Superstars Walmart exclusive, some pretty promotional images of Demolition and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Hacksaw, you got to get two of the Hacksaws to display, one without face paint, one with face paint. And I guess you could say the same thing about Demolition, one with face paint, one with the masks on. So that's going to be a heavy hitter set. Once again, I expect these overseas, things like that. You'll have some people getting these probably before the year's up. However, a lot of us, myself included, we're waiting for the RVD and Steiner Brothers wave, which has not hit stores yet. So the Superstar is probably the most frustrating line to collect. It's not frustrating because we can eventually get them. The frustrating part is you see people on eBay, you see people overseas, you see people from other places having them in hand. So then your mind's like, well, I should be able to go to Walmart and find these. And it's like 3, 4, 6 months later, they finally start hitting. And then it just feels like it's old sauce at that point. Now, perfect example right now at all my Walmarts, for the most part, you can see Ultimate Warrior, Georgie Animal Steel, that kind of stuff. So it's a weird thing with these Superstars. We are hoping in 2026 distribution gets better. we'll see what ends up shaking out right there with that. But a lot of Mattel reveals this week. But also, we're kind of, speaking of reveals, waiting for Ringside Fest. Where is Ringside Fest? It's historically right before Thanksgiving or somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But we remember past years where it's like, hey, a week from now, Ringside Fest. So it's not like they do months of a lead up to it, but it'll be interesting to see if we see something here sometime in December for Ringside Fest. And it's always a nice little Easter egg to hold us over till WrestleMania when we get all the other announcements and stuff. So it's a little bit to set the stage a little bit. And usually you get some of the peeks ahead to some Ringside exclusives, things like that. So we'll see what happens, but you have to think that would be on the docket here in the next month or so. So we'll stay tuned for that. Whoa, stop the clock. Here I am in between weekly purchases segments, and I checked a little X out there. And what do I see from our friends at Ringside Collectibles? Well, it looks like 11/25, we got Ringside Fest. So I talk about it in this video, and voila, it appears just shortly after. Looks like Ricky Starks and Ray Phoenix are going to be there Tuesday, 11/25, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central. Be there or be square. And you don't want to be square, do you? Future. But how about some other wrestling news outside of Mattel this week? And we're going to dive into pro wrestling tees. We mentioned these a while back. Now, you guys remember last week on the toy news, I had to do my episode early. I had some things to do. Talk about it in the podcast. You can check that out. But we did see the pro wrestling tees. I want to say O-ring style figures because that's what you think of. They're G.I. Joe 3 3/4 style figures. But I was reading, I don't think they're O-ring. So they're O-ring figures that aren't O-ring, which is always an interesting take there. So I guess they don't have the O-rings, which is kind of the rubber band that goes in the stomach, like the old school G.I. Joe figures. I guess they do not have that, but we're going to call them O-ring style. It just works better for me when I think of 3 3/4 style figures. But we got Danhausen, we got Macho Man, we got Jake the Snake Roberts, we got Ric Flair. We talked about these a while back. You can buy them as a bundle for like a discounted price for around $100. Very steep, very, very steep. I did not pick these ones up. I don't know. I don't feel these figures very well. Not to, dice all over the product here, but it just isn't what I'm looking for. I don't like the stylization here. I'm very excited for KWK, who has announced a traditional O-ring style figure line. They've been working on it for quite some time. Heck, they announced Earl Hebner for the line this week. We're going to get a ring. We're going to get accessories for them. I'm more excited to see what they're going to do over there for the O-ring style than Pro Wrestling Tees. And I got to be honest, in my personal opinion, just looking at pictures, I haven't had these in hand, and I probably won't from Pro Wrestling Tees, but they do look very dumbed down bootleg style. Those pins in the arms are just unsightly. I don't know why they went with that. Why wouldn't they match it to the skin tone? Very strange idea for me. I do think KWK here has a perfect chance to say, oh, okay, that's what they're going to do. We're going to take it to the next level. And hopefully they keep the price point very similar. If they can, cheaper would be great. Not sure if that's possible, but they have an opportunity over there at KWK to really blow these out of the water. That's my opinion. We still haven't seen pictures of KWK's figures. We know we got Berserker, Bruiser Brody, Earl Hebner, and others signed for the line. Going to be very interesting in the O-ring battles. And Todd, your O-ring's always at battle every night is what I always hear. I can hear it going. But it'll be interesting to see how this goes. And it'll be even more interesting if the average Joe wrestling fan takes that leap into 3 3/4. I hear it all the time in my YouTube comments that when I was a kid, I played wrestling with my G.I. Joes. I did that all the time. For whatever reason, that wasn't something I ever did, so I don't have nostalgia to doing that. When I played G.I. Joes, guess what? They played G.I. Joes. Flint led the team while Duke sat in the office, and we were off to the races. That's how we did it. But I know some people, a lot of people apparently played with their G.I. Joes as wrestlers. So maybe this will be very nostalgic for them. I can also see this being a little bit of kind of the Super 7 reaction phenomenon where people collect these just to keep them on card with the card art and stuff. So it's going to be an interesting thing how this goes. Matt Cardona has talked about it quite a few times. I think he'll probably be in Series 2. I wouldn't be shocked to see that. It'll be interesting to see where we go with these, but I do think they're a very rough go in my personal opinion from what I've seen. I did not pick these ones up. We'll see where it goes, but I am now more interested to see what KWK is going to do in the future because we've seen this. Can they top it? Hopefully they do. Always, as we say, constant learning, constant improvement. We'll see where it ends up going there. More wrestling figure news this week. Friday, figure collections. Use code Kyle. Save yourself 10% at figure collections. 2 new Macho Man Randy Savage. I think you can save $5 with the bundle deal if you buy both of them and then use the code, save an extra 10%. Got to get a deal out there. Got to get the most out of your molds as well, but a lot of Macho Man completionists out there. Have to imagine these will do pretty well. So if you're after some Macho Man, head over to Figure Collections for those. Zombie Sailor toys this week, about breaking the internet here. We knew the Road Warriors were coming for Thanksgiving. We saw in-hand images. I cannot wait. You know me, I'm an LOD. I'm a Road Warriors guy. I'm a Hawk and Animal guy. I'm a Minnesota guy, kind of by default. I'm here for this at the end of the day. I do think they look a little strange. We'll see how they are in hand. That's the best judgment. They got a little of those long arm syndrome, but that's the style over there with Zombie Sailor. But they got a little bit of that hunch going on. It's kind of what it looks like. But we'll see. I'm very excited. These are very detailed in the spikes. I love that he added the chain on there. Very cool, but we weren't done with Black Friday, as Zombie said, hey, there's going to be more announcements, more things released up for sale on Black Friday. Now, I'm fully expecting like Roadkill. That's one from toy shows he sold them at, but he hasn't put them officially up. Have to imagine Roadkill will come on Black Friday. That makes a lot of sense. We also know already, because Zombie Sailor announced it this week, was the rest of the Army of Darkness line. Of course, Ash, Bruce Campbell himself. We're getting the rest of those 3 figures, and then Ash is coming back for 4 figures, so you can get that Army of Darkness lineup if you want to. I'm an Army of Darkness guy. I'm an Evil Dead guy, so I will end up picking these ones up. There's been rumors that maybe Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lamb. Now, I didn't get Hannibal Lecter, so I don't think I'll be getting Buffalo Bill. It's just not a movie I've ever seen, so I don't have a little relationship, the nostalgia with it, like the 3 3/4 playing with my wrestlers. I just didn't have that. So I will be picking up the Army of Darkness figures. I'll definitely be getting the Road Warriors, possibly 2 Road Warriors, and I'm anxious to see what else he does announce. There's always maybe a Bruce Lee on the horizon, possibly, maybe a repaint on the horizon. We'll see what happens, but we'll have to be ready to go on Thanksgiving, Black Friday, for some Zombie Sailor figures. But I'm excited about those Road Warriors. I'm a Road Warriors guy, so we'll see where that ends up going. We also saw the move of the Big Rubber guys, AEW Big Rubber guys more specifically, and the Collect Major team. AEW or Pro Wrestling Tees, one or the other, moved up, moved back, whatever you want to call it. Moved back, moved up. Moved back, I guess we'll call it. The end of the pre-order cycle for the Adam Copeland Edge Big Rubber guy. December 1st is your last chance to order that one. So you got some extra time there. Be interesting to know why they moved that. Were they not selling very well? Is that why it got moved? I'm not exactly sure, and they're not going to tell us, but you got options if you want to get that. You got till December 1st. Pick up your Adam Copeland figure. Also interesting this week, I think it was on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast that Matt Cardona mentioned it, that they were looking at maybe possibly making a Classic Superstars Macho Man. I think that is a fabulous idea, one idea that never came into my head ever. I think that is a very cool idea. It sounds like they're not going to do it, but man, they really, really should. Macho Man, as we know, Ricky Steamboat, Miss Elizabeth, there's a lot that could have been in Classic Superstars that we never got for one reason or another. The Von Erichs, anyone? How about an Eric Embry? Oh, an Eric Embry for everybody. But I would love to see them make a Macho Man. He said, the cost to make the packaging and everything. And I think they could skirt the line on legalities pretty easily on that one. But how cool would it be to have a Classic Superstars inspired packaging of Macho Man all these years later? That would be absolutely amazing. I would be here for that. They would do variants, chase editions and stuff, but you had me at Classic Superstars. I think that's an awesome idea, and I would love to see him do that, a line of Classic Superstars, and make guys that we never got in the past. But sounds like it's not going to happen, but man, it really got my wheels turning on that one. Very, very cool. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe in the future. Keep the fingers crossed on that. We also saw from Collect Major, they did see their ring. Brian Myers was showing off their ring this week. Sounds like that should be in stock very soon. It is the repurposed boss fight ring from a year ago. What is time? 2 years ago. What is time once again? You can use it for your major bendies. I think you can use it for your superstars, retros, pretty much use it for whatever you want to, but that should be going on Collect Major sooner rather than later. So if you're after one of those. One we haven't talked about in a heck of a long time, Rush Collectibles, and they've shot themselves in the foot over the years. You don't hear much about them, but you don't really see much announcements from Rush anymore. But this week they kind of turned back up with Spellbinder, which I gotta be honest, that figure looks really good. And the last figure I got from Rush was a Frankenstein retro style figure. I was blown away by that, how good that figure actually was. Now, we did have the Larry Zbyszkos of 3 years. I don't know what time is anymore. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you had Roadkill, you had Larry Zbyszko. We had some issues with those figures. We remember that. We all remember that. However, The Frankenstein figure showed a world of difference in improvement. Spellbinder looks very similar in the improvement here. I don't know if it's just, there's too much bad blood with the Rush name for people to dive into this, but apparently if you did pre-order, you're going to get some, like a bonus cape and hood. It is cape season after all. So there's a possibility for some extras on that, and it looks like they'll have some in stock. So very interesting. I'm not sure. You got to vote with your wallet. You got to do what you want to do. But this is a figure, I never thought we'd ever get a Spellbinder figure, but here we are. Phantasmo, or whatever it used to be known as well. Would be interesting to get. I'm not sure if I'll get it, though. We'll see what happens in the future there, but that is something we haven't talked Rush Collectibles in a heck of a long time, and I think that's it. I think he's done after that. There was rumors of America's Most Wanted, but I think that's shelved. I don't know. And then another retro company, Title Run Toys, TRT for short. They did put up their Harley race figures last week for sale. We've talked about those in the past. Regular and bloody version. I'm a Harley guy, so I had to pick both of these up. Not sold on these. Going to see how they are in hand, though. Hopefully they look a little bit better. I don't like how Harley's looking down once again. So interesting look there. But that's it for the wrestling news, except you're right, our old friends, it's time for the Power Town update.
Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering?
All right, time for the Power Town update. A lot of people waiting for this moment each and every week. And guess what? No update. Oh, yep, no update this week. There's no updates. What are we doing? What are we hoping Power Town's going to say something? Once again, nothing. All is quiet on the Western Front. Fully do not expect to get anything from Power Town this year, as I've said before. Thanksgiving's here. I know Magnum said at one time everything will be in people's hands by Thanksgiving. I'm pretty much at this point, I feel like the Remcos are done. They're sitting in a factory, but Power Town doesn't have the money to pay for them to get out. I feel like that's where they're at. And I honestly believe the Ultra Series 2 and the TNA figures have never even been produced. They haven't even started making those figures. That's my guess. Prove me wrong, Power Town. That's what I'm going to say at this point here. I don't know where we go from here, really. I've kind of finally, over the last couple of weeks, I said I felt like we'd get these figures sometime, and I think it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago. What is time? Once again, I'm just all mixed up here today. I've really came to the realization that I don't think we're getting any of these figures ever. I'm holding out hope for Remco's a little bit, but all in all, I think we're just screwed, and I'm ready to take the L, take the loss, but I'll never forget this process. I'll never forget this, and shame on Power Town what they've done for all the other companies out there, because those other companies don't have anything to do with Power Town, but they're guilty by association from the average Joe out there, the average Joe collector. Well, I was burned on Power Town. There's no way I'm going to dive into grapplers and gimmicks. There's no way I'm going to dive into KWK or figure collections or whoever you want to mention, because I was burned by Power Town, when they don't have anything to do with each other. But that's the stigma something like this lingers on with. So very disappointing. I like to joke about it. I like to have fun about it, but it just sucks for a lot of us that are out money. And I guess at this point, all we can do is laugh. Hopefully something happens. Shame on the Power Town team. No communication anywhere. I think, as I've said numerous times, I'm a broken record once again, but if they would have just had communication along the way, a little bit of updates here and there, even if there's nothing to say, just by being out there, being accessible, means something. And honestly, by them hiding away and not answering stuff, not refunding people, not giving updates, it basically feels like they've taken our money and ran. I know they'll be the first to tell you that's not the case, but that's what somebody that would take your money and run would say. Yeah, it wasn't the case, but I did. I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but I'm not holding my breath for this year. We'll see what happens next year, but not hold my breath for next year either. So that is, unfortunately, the Power Town update. But we got a little bit of extra stuff to talk about this week, non-wrestling related. Not very much this week, though, but we're going to dive into it. How about Mondo with their Donatello figure, 1/6 scale, $350. Oh my gosh, what are we doing? I've unfortunately, like a lot of us, there's only so much money to go around. That's just the way it is. It's the way the world works. I've had to dial back a lot of Mondos. I bought Lion-O. I pre-ordered Mumra. I said I'd like to buy the rest of the Thundercats. I'm done right there. X-Men, Spider-Man, unfortunately, I'm done right there. I'm good with what I have. Going to have to call it quits there. I'm still diving into the He-Man stuff. I couldn't pull the trigger on Swiftwind and She-Ra as much as I wanted that. I didn't have $1,000 for that. I had to buy a car. I had to buy 2 cars, actually. A lot of finances going on. Money's just going out the window left and right. Yeah, I didn't feel like I had $1,000 to put towards She-Ra and Swiftwind. And I want them in my collection, but let's be honest, I'm not a huge She-Ra Swiftwind guy. $300, okay, I'll do it, but $1,000, not going to happen. And we've all been in these situations. We've all thought this way as well. So I'm dabbling at this point with Mondo, which I hate to do because a lot of the stuff is really quality. Now, I do have issues from time to time not getting my parts or broken parts and stuff. And yes, I'm the first to admit customer service is amazing, but they shouldn't have to do customer service. I shouldn't have to go with every single thing I get basically to their customer service to get a replacement. That's not a very good batting record, but saying all that, figures are absolutely amazing. Just like this Donatello, which I've told myself, nope, not going to do it. Saw it at San Diego Comic-Con, not going to do it. But there's something inside me, deep inside of me, Todd. No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you, Todd. It wasn't you inside me. Not that time. It was something else inside of me saying, Kyle, you need this Donatello. You need these turtles. Just get the 4 turtles. You don't got to get Shredder. You don't got to get Bebop and Rocksteady one day. Just get the 4 turtles. And then I'm like, but I got the 4 turtles from NECA. I'm good right there. I got that size turtles, but these are so much more detailed. You got extra head. And Kyle, let's be honest, you can always use some extra head. And I said, yeah, I do love head a lot. It is one of my favorite things and on a daily basis. And it's great, but I can't do it. It's $350. But Kyle, you're working. You can afford it. You got a job. You'll make more money. And I'm like, yeah, I will make more money, but my kids are getting older. They got to go to college one day. I'd like to retire one day. Do I need it? Long story short, I got the devil and the angel on my shoulders. I'm debating this Donatello figure. I really want the 4 turtles here. I think it is an absolutely amazing version of Donatello. I'm absolutely torn, but I am very close to ordering this one. So we'll see what ends up happening. Part of me is like, this is the timed edition. There will be a cheaper regular edition. I may go that route. Obviously, the regular edition will be missing a head. And can I afford to lose head? I don't know if I can, but it'll have like less accessories. Those mousers won't be there. There'll be one less head, something like that. However, it'll be cheaper and they won't be sitting on my money as long because I'll pick it up at Jay's Toys and Games. So I don't know, decisions, but man, I'm very close to pulling the trigger on this one. Even though I don't want to, I'm very close. So we'll see what happens. I guess stay tuned for more of that in the future. We also saw this week Red Shadow's Masters of the Universe Origins, Powers of Grayskull, I guess technically, from Mattel Creations shipping out. A hairy bipedal creature with a mask? You had me at hello. So we'll unbox that on the channel here very soon. We can't wait to get that one here. It'll be interesting to see where the Masters Mattel Creations exclusives go next year as well. And we also saw some weird stuff GameStop this week. 20 by 20 by 20, whatever you can put in there, they'll trade you at GameStop. So very strange. There's a whole list of stuff. We're not taking siblings. We're not taking false teeth. We're not taking body parts. A bunch of kind of tongue-in-cheek jokes. But it sounds like I could grab any figure I have, any game I have, any controller I have. I can bring it and they'll give me store credit for it. Now, the end of the day, what's your store credit? Yeah, we'll take anything on this day. Well, that game, that PS2 game, we're going to give you 10 cents. So they'll take anything, but will it be what you want? But I thought that was an interesting, let's call it what it is, a publicity stunt by GameStop. And GameStop, on life support. We've seen that for a while. I think they're trying to get back out there. They're doing what they can to survive in this digital age, of course, and just an analog company in a digital age. Something like that. But I think it's an interesting tactic. We'll see how it works out for them. Be interesting to hear if anybody takes stuff in and see what they give you for it. I don't think I have anything to take in, but I thought that was an interesting thing to make mention of this week. Kind of like Todd McFarlane from the couch. Nothing really interesting going on over there. McFarlane laying in the weeds, I guess, is what he's doing. But McFarlane did have a McFarlane store exclusive. The Batman Who Laughs, Jokerized version, all that kind of crazy stuff. I guess it's the black and white accent edition. At the end of the day, it's a fancy repaint McFarlane store exclusive. If you're after it, head to the McFarlane store. You know how that works. We also saw this week Jada Toys E-Honda. We've seen it for a while. Pre-order next week. So if you're after Jada Toys Street Fighter E-Honda next week, I'm here for that. And something off the beaten path, of course, taking my love of music. I just went, Todd McFarlane, to Zach Sabbath the other night. And
Hi, I'm attorney at Lord Zach Wild, and I'm here to fight for you.
I saw 9 days in a row once upon a time, opening up for one of my all-time favorite bands, the band known as Clutch. And Clutch coming here with quasi-figure related, we'll call it, a model kit of a Dodge Swinger. You guys know Space Grass, don't you? The Clutch song Space Grass? We all know it. Of course we do. Maybe, maybe not. But they did do a model kit for this Dodge Swinger, and it has Clutch logos, all this kind of stuff. You have to put it together yourself. I would like to get something like this, but I don't have time for that. I don't have time for those shenanigans putting that stuff together. But very cool for one of my favorite bands, Clutch. I'm always here for any band merchandise, be it Motorhead, be it Clutch, be it King Diamond, whatever it may be. I'm here for that at the end of the day, so I like the looks of that. I think it is a cool idea. Be interested to see how that sells for the boys over there in Clutch. But I'm here for it. And I'm here for the toy news, and that is the toy news this week as we lead up to Thanksgiving. Should be pretty slow next week. We'll see what ends up happening. Maybe we'll get a bunch of announcements earlier in the week, but I can't imagine Thursday, Friday, a whole lot of announcements. So we'll see what happens next week in the toy news. But there's always something to talk about, isn't there? Yeah, sure, why not? Why not? But there it is. That's toy news of the week. What are you interested in? What are you excited for? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell as we got videos every single day. And then some. We got even more content for you on Patreon. Patreon, the best way to support this YouTube channel. You can also check out YouTube channel memberships if that's your thing. Sir Paul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and the Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com, which conveniently enough is the name of my podcast, The Kyle Peterson Show. Check it out for a very special episode this week. Don't cry. Don't cry for me, folks. Don't cry for me. I don't need your tears. I don't need your tears. I just need your love. Just need your love. That's what we need. There it is. But check out the Kyle Peterson Show wherever podcasts are found, videocast on YouTube. So you know what I'm doing? I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling to the doctor's office.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?